Welcome to the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. May the Force be with you.
Looky, Senator. Decent Jedi arriving.
Let's make this our best show ever!
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
I am the Senate.
This is the way.
So, hello everybody, and welcome to a special emergency session of the Positively Star Wars Senate group here. So, as ever, we are duly gathered here on the power of Skype to talk about all things positively Star Wars, or Star Wars positively, whichever way you want to say it. And of course, the main theme of the show today will be the book of Boba Fett, which hopefully everybody's been watching. I know we have here, and everybody listening. Otherwise, there wouldn't be much point listening, I suppose. And joining me for this Senate, as ever, is reliable Ron.
Greetings and salutations, senators.
Magnificent Marie.
Good morning, senators.
Raucous Ryan.
Hello there.
And, oh God, another R, isn't it?
So many R's.
Randy Ricky.
Hello.
Nope, I think that.
You hit yourself in a corner with that little mnemonic.
I should have thought about that before I started that, shouldn't I? And myself, Stephen, the obligatory Brit. Yeah, what a total idiot. This is totally unscripted, as I'm sure everybody's probably worked out by now. So just to, we'll just have a quick go around the table and just check that everybody actually has been doing their Star Wars homework in the last month. So, Ron, what have you been up to in the last month?
I watched the Book of Boba Fett.
Good work. You get a tick. Marie?
Watch the book of Boba Fett.
Fantastic. Ryan?
Just the Boba Fett.
Just the Boba Fett. Okay. And Ricky?
I rewatched the holiday special, but then I watched the Book of Boba Fett.
Excellent. So that means that we're all up to date. We all know what's going on. And at this time of recording, of course, we talked about the first two episodes of the Book of Boba Fett last episode, which means that this time round we've got 3 episodes to talk about. And we're not going to waste any time because I expect and we anticipate that as we go through each episode that we might be talking slightly longer about each one. One reason why we are doing this slightly out of sync in terms of our recording schedule this time round. So, cast your minds back, folks, to January the 12th. Can you remember what you ate that day? But that was the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 3, which was called The Streets of Mos Espa. Is that right?
No,
that's what. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. People chime in if I get things wrong because, as people know, my pronunciations are not very good. Blame it on being British. So the synopsis on Wiki says that Fett is asked by watermonger Lawfer Peel to punish a gang of cyborgs who are stealing his water in Mos Espa, claiming that the citizens of Tatooine do not respect Fett yet. Upon seeing that the gang has no work, Fett employs the cyborgs as enforcers and demands that Peel reduce his prices. In his bacta tank, Fett recalls seeing the toll from the Pikes on behalf of the Tusken tribe, only to find the tribe destroyed by the Nikto gang on his return. His memories are interrupted when Fett is attacked by Chrysanthemum, that is the Wookiee. Fett, Shand and the guards and the cyborgs fight off and capture the Wookiee. The twins soon apologise for sending Chrysanthemum, claiming that Shaiz has promised Jabba's territory to another syndicate. The twins vow to leave Tatooine and give a Rancor to Fett. After releasing Chrysanthemum and resolving to train the Rancor, Fett goes to Mos Espa with Shand and the cyborgs to question Shaiz. They find the mayor absent, but chase down his major domo, who reveals that Shaiz is working with the Pikes. Later, the Pikes begin arriving in Mos Espa, and Fett decides to prepare for war. So basically, we can sum up this episode in Chrysanthemum strikes, the twins arrive, we see the twins again, and we see a Rancor, and we see a cyborg motorcycle gang in this episode. If he's going to summarize it in a few words.
Was there no flashback in that episode?
Sorry?
Was there no flashback in that one?
Well, the flashback, I can't remember that flashback was really him seeing the end of the Tusken tribe. according to this. I can't remember now. Can anybody else remember any more flashback?
Yeah, because that's
No, I
where,
don't think there was a flashback because wasn't his bath interrupted by Chrysanthemum in this episode?
the
Oh,
end of it. The
yes.
end of it was. The end of it was. He flashed back in it. I don't remember specifically, but yeah, as he's coming out of it in our normal sort of, just expecting to come out of it, and he wakes up or whatever. Yeah, that's where it's sort of jarring that it was ripped open and Chrysanthemum's there taking care of him or whatever. I forget what the
Yeah,
flashbacks
she's throwing him around the room.
So there's a big lesson here. One lesson here is don't have a bath without a guard. And two,
I never do.
No, I never. I always have a guard on duty. And also just don't fall asleep in the bath, which is always a good lesson to be learned there, I think. So, okay, we'll go around the table. We've got a bit more time. Ron, what did you make of this episode?
Episode 3 was a good episode. The takeaway with the episode was just that biker gang and just the colorful nature of the bikes was. And it's not so much the colorfulness. I've watched episode 2 and rewatched some other things over the span of some time or whatever. And there are some brightly colored things on Tatooine, but they're very dirty, dusty, as you would expect on the sand bowl that is Tatooine. So if those kids are carrying on about the cost of water but yet their bikes are wicked clean, was that one was a tough one to swallow between the sheer shininess of them and just the abject, just there was the one or two of the bikes had so many mirrors on it I couldn't take away.
Well, what do you think they're using the water for? They're using the water to clean their bikes.
Yeah, you need to live. So if the water's expensive, you need it. Well, yeah, there is something to that for sure.
I'm just having a thought as you're speaking there, Ron. You're saying about water. It just occurred to me, maybe they don't need water to clean the bikes. Maybe they can use air.
There you go.
Perhaps it's Tatooine. It's in a galaxy far, far away, or whatever. But I know what it takes to get my car nice and shiny like that, and I ain't getting it done with with air. The Chrysanthemum was a nice jarring. Him coming out of that was a nice kind of thing. Whatever the fight between them. I do have one question for the senators. Chrysanthemum has, for those that know him, whatever, he has like some sort of brass knuckle things with spikes, and they like electrified or whatever. And yeah. I really think it really looked like they showed them to us on his hand, showed them get electrified or whatever, and then Boba Fett took a punch to the face with those things, with the spikes. He obviously didn't hit him with the spikes, I guess, because I just can't. I'm not sure how he makes it with the.
Did he backhand him?
You kind of have to. I just remember seeing that, thinking, "Wow, I know he can take a punch and all, but a punch from a Wookiee with spikes on the back of his hands, like brass knuckles, seems a little far-fetched." Yeah, no, just that was a heck of a scene.
Well, we don't see any blood anywhere, do we? I mean, Chrysanthemum got stabbed like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that's the other thing. He got poked a couple times. Boba Fett gets bit on the hand by Chrysanthemum. If he's those Wookiee teeth got to be sharp, and didn't really see much damage to his hand. But seeing him, the flashback I'm remembering was him seeing the Tuskens, right? And he saw this village. He went and saw the Pikes. And they negotiate the Pikes were like, "No, we ain't paying you. We'll pay we're only paying one. We already paying speeders."
Yes, give a gang, yeah.
Goes back and sees the devastation of his.
Do we think they're all dead?
I didn't see any of them.
There's a chance, but
somebody escaped.
I mean, he picked up the stick of that kid, right? That was what he picked up at the end.
I think some of the stuff he put on the fire seemed very ceremonial. Like, this guy, the one spike and the other spike, and there was a short one in there that I kind of like you, Ricky, thought was the kids.
Was the lizard there?
Oh yeah, where'd the lizard get to? Yeah,
Return of the Lizard.
Gotta rescue the lizard. But Chrysanthemum is definitely a fun character. Whoever's playing that, and however they are, I don't want to say the costume design. There is such emotion, such what do you want to say? Just you can really tell what's going on there. The way he's looking. Personality. Thank you. Yeah, there is something fierce to that Wookiee.
It's. I've been thinking that the whole time. His eyes just seem totally different from Chewbacca's, and it shows so much more emotion. It's just so much better.
So wonderfully well done, for sure.
There's something kind of feral about him.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. There's like a look. There's something about the eyes where he looks more feral.
I think you just see more light, so you see more reaction in him. just
Might be
looking
'cause
around,
yeah.
such a big character change.
Like the color scheme they have on him too. He looks like really like a wild animal looking.
We might have to rename the Gamorrean guards to Gamorrean room decoration or something.
It's Lenny and Squiggy.
I'm not sure how much guarding these fellows are getting done.
Yeah, those guys are always busy somewhere else.
Yeah, they always got some.
We said last
Late
time
to the
we
party.
reckon there can't be more than about 5 people in the whole flipping palace or something, isn't it? Because I mean, their only job is to guard, presumably, the front door. And
they could be plants, right? Or they're just really bad guards.
Really bad guards. The one thing I do remember, they trapdoored Chrysanthemum into the Rancor pit or whatever, and Fennec, he's sitting there holding on by like a finger or whatever. All you had to do is pick his fingers off. But Fennec does a cool move she picks something out of her gun, throws it, and hits his hand, a knife or a dagger. But
a dagger,
yeah. What I saw there was you just gave him a weapon. Like it daggered into the back of his hand, and he fell, and now he's fallen into the Rancor pit. And sure, he's fallen into the Rancor pit, but now he has that weapon too. I mean, I guess he had all his other weapons. He
is a weapon. He has his claws, his strength, everything.
He is a weapon, but you've given him something to throw. Let's say, projectile or whatever. That seemed a bit Marvel writing, if you will, so to speak. It was cool for her to throw that across the room, but was it? Because now you've given him a weapon. But then he lets him walk, and he truly does. He runs. I would have changed that scene. I would have had him saunter off as the cool beast that he is or whatever. But he goes running. The run shuffle of the actor didn't work for me. When Fett says release him, he's it's like happy to be released, and he goes running off.
It went a bit
at the end. Yeah, it was a little. It's just a little fun. It was a little weird. I wasn't expecting that run.
I always thought that the pit and in front of Jabba's sort of throne thing. I always thought the trapdoor was much bigger than that, and it really small in that. And it like he's been flushed down the toilet.
There's the grate that you can look down through.
Yeah.
But there's the trapdoor that truly traps you.
I mean, it's so difficult to get somebody in exactly the right spot.
Well, it's worked 2-3 times. Well, yeah, it's right in front of the dais. So I think it's it's right in front of where the throne where you would sit. So it catches. I think it catches.
It's almost like coming on tonight. I don't know. You guys got it in America, like the X Factor. Stand on the X. No reason. Just stand on the X and talk to me.
I guess Luke was a lot smaller than the Wookiee.
That's true. I have to re-look. I always imagine.
But even when in the first episode, when the assassin guy, when they dropped him down there.
Oh yeah.
Like it seemed like it was a little hole. It didn't look like it was the same thing like the Twi'lek in the Jedi fell through. I don't know. Maybe there's 2 different spots.
I think the problem I'm having here is I'm still imagining my Jabba playset when I was a child, and that had the whole gate thing that massive. If anybody remembers it and playing with it and stuff, gates you should open up either side. You turn the knob. Well, it was all bit. It wasn't to scale, was it? It wasn't exactly accurate either because it had the pit underneath where Jabba actually sat, and the play thing. So I'm just reminiscing about my own Jabba times. Marie, what do you think about this episode?
I wasn't really fond of it at first. I thought the biker gang was kind of hokey. It's grown on me a little bit. I did like Boba Fett getting thrown around the room by Chrysanthemum. That was a good little bit of physical comedy too, because you don't expect to get so rudely interrupted out of your bath, and then
and the bathrobe stayed on.
Out and he can't get on his feet, and it was a great little bit of kind of physical comedy as well as a kind of vicious fight. But it's really grown on me since then. I like it a lot better now.
Okay, Ryan.
So again, with everybody else, Chrysanthemum was the best thing. I was always hoping for a bigger fight for him. I was expecting it to be like the final battle, but of course, with I guess all Mandalorians or any of these series, it's always you have an enemy and then you make him a friend, and then you team together for a bigger battle at the end for whatever it may be. So, but I know there was some talk about. I just assumed it was the Pikes that kind of took down the, or what is it? Yeah, they kind of took down the Tatooine, the Tuscans. So, but there's people discussing, other things that it's, what was it? Crimson Dawn could have been the one, because the way that the Hutts talked about it, where they made it seem like, oh, we're so scared of all these people, and it's like, I just don't see anybody but the Pikes doing it, because they showed them walking off the ship at the end of the episode, and they're actually setting them up. And I don't know a lot about them from Clone Wars, so I don't know how big of a threat they are. But I mean, it just seems like they have a bigger battle with the Pikes coming, and obviously Boba's building up his team.
Yeah, I think we've learned from this show that what you see is what you get. There's not a lot of misdirection. That if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And I think the Pikes are the big bad, or are going to be the big bad. That there's not going to be yet another element. And I was giving some thought to that this show also has to be for the commoner, or for the lay fan. They can't, as much as I'd love Disney Plus to make a show just for Star Wars fans, it has to be economically, it has to be worth the effort, the money, whatever. So they kind of need to make a show that plays towards the lay fan, if you will, or somebody will. So yeah, I don't think they can make it too super intertwined and complicated and have this twist and
even for like younger viewers too.
Yeah, exactly. For younger, yeah, that's probably a very good point, Ricky. For the younger, we don't need yet another Black Sun or some other weird twist tie. Not in first.
Well, then they kind of did like spell it out that the Pikes are paying that swoop biker gang, whatever that Boba took care of in that other episode.
The Niktos.
So in order for them to protect the train route, then they killed all those Tuskens that attacked the train. So. That's basically what happened.
Yeah.
I anticipate.
So, and then there's.
I was going to say,
it was all Boba's fault, which was kind of sad. Like he endangered them, and they had delusions of grandeur, and it ended up biting them in the end.
No, continue, Ryan.
Yeah, and then I have to mention, I wasn't going to kind of mention it, but the bike scene in Boba Fett, I don't get that. There's been a lot of dislike for it, and me being overtly positive and why I'm here, I thought it was fine. I liked seeing all the color on Tatooine, because it's all just a brown, black, and gray world. So it's nice to see, and I like all the age of the actors, like it was a young 20s or teenagers almost, all doing body modifications, which I thought was brilliant. So I mean, I really liked all that. The bikes were definitely bright colored, but I thought that was good because it fit those characters. They want to be flashy. They're doing body modifications for attention, so of course they're going to have bikes that get attention on something like Tatooine, where people don't.
And they were new. They weren't like, these guys weren't riding around these bikes for like years. They probably just like stole whatever parts that they did to make them, and it's like one of their.
So yeah, I'm that fan. And I'm kind of that part of that fan. Whatever. It wasn't so much the bright colors; it was the shininess of the bright colors. Because there have been other bright colored things on Tatooine. You can see it in the movies, but they were George Lucasified, and like, well, yeah, that was shiny. But riding around on Tatooine, it's not going to stay shiny. And granted, they're kids; they got nothing else to do but sort of polish up their bikes. So there'd be something to that. But I mean, those things had 3 layers of wax. You could see your reflection in them, kind of thing. That was what's off-putting to me a little bit, was just the sheer
it's that
shininess.
The Tatooine wax.
Well, bring it back to Clone Wars. Shiny
finish. Yeah, bring it back to Clone Wars.
Shinies.
And then just the sheer number of mirrors. There's just, I mean, I get you modding it up and trying to make it look like something, but 2 mirrors. Like one guy had 6 mirrors on each side or something. It was
a lot of blind. There's a lot of blind spots. Nobody wants to turn their head.
Yeah, you're running down those.
Hey, that was the guy with the one eye, though, right?
Especially.
Oh my god.
Especially with the shininess, you need lots of mirrors, I think, to be able to see in the right, getting the reflection of your own vehicle in a way. Yeah, I enjoyed this chase scene. I mean, it wasn't super fast. There was nothing.
I mean,
I agree with that. Yeah.
It's not like the Major Domo guy was like a professional driver. He was like a little weaselly guy that didn't know how to escape. So they were just kind of trying to do like a pit maneuver on him and stop him. It wasn't like they were chasing him down high speed. It was a simple sci-fi comedy chase. It wasn't revolutionary, and I think some people have some of the more critical ones. They've seen the problem here is we've seen Mandalorian before we've seen Boba Fett, and they've got their eyes of everything being gritty and super duper in Mando. And anything doesn't reach up to those levels has got to be automatically rubbish. And this is just a classic, simple
chased around the streets of Tatooine. And we got to see. I mean, we could spend 2-3 hours dissecting that whole chase scene with the amount of stuff that's going on in the background. There's so much in there. In that scene,
when they go through the Jabba painting.
The painting,
Yeah.
the Jabba scene.
Oh, that was really funny.
You said it, Stephen.
Yes.
It was a comedy. It very much was a fun throwback to that sort of comedic chase scene where you have the droid spinning in the middle of the thing as the speeders go by one side and the other side. You know, that kind of Charlie Chaplin-ish era type of chase scene through the city or something, and whatever that weird droid that was moving the Bith across the street, you know, and just the painting
doing a burnout.
Yeah, all of that stuff was a fun. There was some fun aspect. You know, you got what you could get what they were going for there, and paying homage to that. That was fun.
You go around the corner and there, you know, there's like a group of 12 children. I know this didn't actually happen, but this is the classic thing. Like, you know, the group of children, they're all doing card pyramids, and there's out comes from the mill a chap with a great big bag of flour exactly the same time as someone goes past and everything goes all over the place. It's that classic kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, classic.
Just look at Luke going through Mos Eisley when on the special editions they pass a Jawa falling off of a creature, and then the droid falling down hitting the other.
They always do protocol droids running out of the way.
That's right. That's true. That is a bit of a staple of the way the protocol walks and the arms swing and the arms swing.
It happens in the prequels.
Like
it happens in Cloud City. It's everywhere.
Always like somebody said, he's no master F1 driver or something or whatever. So yeah, Major Domo is just a Weasley driver. So he's going to run into everything. You know, the typical take the legs out of some support and the water goes crashing everywhere and hitting. And
it's Boba Fett, so he's not trying to be like, oh, well, who cares? Just run over everybody. Like, no, I'm supposed to be like the police basically for this town. So I'm the sheriff, so I'm not going to endanger everybody and get everybody mad because his team like ran everybody over and sped through town. So they're kind of trying to avoid people too.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the introduction of the characters, and I love the fact that they're like, no, we love our modifications. We do this not because we have to, but because I want a leg that's a jackhammer. Like, so it's like I really enjoyed those characters.
That is nice. They actually cut the limbs, healthy limbs off just to get a modification.
Maybe. I mean, people, piercings.
Well, I think
piercings.
The interesting thing about the modification thing is that like in the era of where this is after Jedi, so people have. I don't know if they've realized what Vader was, more machine than man, but Luke got his hand back. That the technology made its way. Let's say it's like like GPS. It's a military technology that eventually made its way to the masses. That's one thing about the mods that I think is kind of neat as an element in Star Wars. That what was sort of maybe a unique thing or special to Vader and Luke, not to them specifically, but it was in that realm of where it could. Now there's mod parlors where you can come in and if you got the money can get this mod or whatever. I think that's kind of a neat aspect of the Star Wars universe.
It gets normalized by bored teenagers, basically.
And doesn't that kind of tie into like the OT with wasn't Dr. Evazan? Isn't that what he did? Wasn't he like? Because I remember when Solo came out, something about the visual dictionaries, like those people that had like their half of their head cut off and modified. That was his work.
Well, then that defeats my sort of theory that it was upper echelon-y during the OT time, and like a GPS, like it was a military technology that by the time it would get to this far into it's made its way down to the masses.
You're kind of on the money there because it was probably like post Darth Vader, who was basically the prototype for that kind of thing.
Like they were inspired by him.
Does have a weird precedent aspect though that if this is capable now and you can get a super arm or you can get whenever you're writing a story and you need somebody to be able to do something, that person could have been modded with whatever special. It does. It walks a fine line like time travel.
Well, you
can always have somebody do whatever around to do whatever you need. The one speeder bike girl was very pale on Tatooine. How are we square with that?
Well, so was what's her name? The bounty hunter.
She just never gets out. Fennec?
No.
Only comes out at night. She only comes out at night.
Oh,
No one wants to hang out.
Or
Sing,
sing.
she's not pale. She's that
That's her.
way.
Yeah, it
And
looked like she was kind of
I mean, I
painted. I don't know.
She's an alien and
They
she's
just-
that white.
She's
Yeah,
just
they sleep
goth.
during the day, and that's it. Parties at night.
Yeah.
Always out at night.
Lots of sunscreen.
This day scene of the chase thing's not the norm.
Yeah,
we
so
have
I think, and I even
Well, you got others
They're more-
to ask about it. Yeah, you got others to ask
Her
about it.
foundation is pale ivory and it's got SPF 1000.
Yes.
Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't
like
pretty much know what
like
you're
this-
talking about, Marie, but I love it. Yeah.
Ricky.
I like that it was almost a throwback. Like if you look at Luke's hand when he lost his hand, they have the technology to make it look realistic. But when Luke's older, he doesn't care to make it look realistic. And
Yeah.
these people are proud of their modifications. They're like, yeah, we're going to show off these robotic parts, even though we can cover them if we want to. They're like, no, this is who we are. So I did like the characterizations of them.
I thought they were cool. I wanted their action figures and their vehicles for my collection. 'Cause I
Wasn't
just
this
thought
the
that-
Almost.
This was the episode where Fett and the one guy was like, this is the episode where Fett has the line, keep an eye on him, right? I think it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's talking
Yeah.
to somebody. He's like,
Yes.
yeah, keep an eye on him. He's like, sorry about
yes,
that.
yes,
Mate. Yeah,
okay.
it was a weird aspect of real world humor. I appreciate it. It was funny, like this stuff, but it was just a notable piece of just.
And
keeping
then
an eye on him.
Fennec,
Oh,
see you
sorry.
later.
Yeah, Fennec's got some great one-liners. Ming Na
I
plays
think
that
people
character.
tend to
just so-
forget like these shows are supposed to be fun, you know. Like you're supposed to enjoy
Right.
watching it. It doesn't have to be
Oh,
super
I-
serious, you know.
I especially think that I see Boba's little chapter as sort of like a slightly more light-hearted side to the Mandalorian's sort of story, and that wasn't always. I know Mando's has quite some serious stuff going on, a bit scary at times and stuff, but Boba's is a bit more light-hearted, bit more comedy-ish, shall we say? A bit more.
Yeah, I mean, even like when they
And
showed
those-
him in like the original movies, he's like hanging out in Jabba's palace and talking to the girls and pointing at people, and even like on Star Wars Visions, he's bobbing his head, dancing. So Bo was a little more lighter than some of the other characters. Than what people.
They always
got to
drop some comedy. Yeah, they always got to drop
Yeah.
some comedic line. Like you said, they can't be 100% serious the whole time.
No.
Yes, younger audience.
Going back to like the modification people, that wasn't I might be wrong, but like General Grievous, wasn't he like? Didn't he do all his modifications on purpose to be a better warrior?
It was the Emperor's do with the Emperor stuff.
No, General Grievous.
Was it more?
No, I think he almost died.
Yeah.
Was it that he almost died?
He added modifications, but
Yeah,
I
he
think
kept
he
going.
originally was.
Yeah, he kept doing it and going.
It was an
over and over
experiment.
again.
He was an experiment in himself, wasn't he?
He was an experiment. Yeah, he
Yeah.
he added modifications eventually, but originally it was just to keep his lungs going, because I guess
Yeah.
it was his lungs that were affected, because it was supposed to be like a walking
Yeah.
iron lung kind of thing, like Darth Vader, but kind of Darth Vader light.
Yeah, like a precursor to it.
I've read the comic and I can't remember the story now. Did he do something to try to help his own race, or was that am I getting him confused with Thrawn's?
I don't know. Clone Wars, they always kept saying he was the warrior, and they had.
No,
There's
there's a backstory comic, isn't there? You read it, Ryan.
I don't remember if there was.
I'm sure that.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I remember it
he's
now.
some sort of race or some sort of creature, but then turned into he's definitely more machine than man now,
Yeah.
kind of thing. That he was
Yeah, he
gut
essentially
sack and eyeballs or whatever.
Yeah. he chose that. Those modifications and stuff. Yeah.
I don't know. I chalked up those biker gang kids like they had just started doing what they're doing. They probably just stole those bike parts or stole the bikes themselves, and they're trying to take water now, and they're kind of slowly, that the guy that was complaining to Boba probably like he just started having problems with these kids. That's probably what
Yeah, I think
why they look so shiny and
Grievous
brand new.
was injured. Yeah. Grievous needed those body parts to stay alive, but like Marie said, he probably
Eventually
added
modified
things like the forearms and the size, and he wore the mask because that's based on his culture. But yeah, all that stuff is to stay alive.
I don't know. Maybe these people got maybe something happened with them and they needed to get altered. I don't know. Who knows? But I know I kind of like that aspect. But like Ron said, yeah, you can. What stops anybody from like, okay, I'm gonna have like a turbo cannon, on my arm. But I guess you would need to know the right place to go to and have a way to pay them and stuff like that. So
I would imagine it's probably outlawed. property in most
I mean,
places.
that's how you'd
Yeah,
stop it. But right, yeah. Now that it's out there, that it can continue.
But they're
that way.
criminals anyway, so who
Well, that's
is going to stop them?
yeah, that's why they're on Tatooine. So
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it falls outside the
The
public.
law doesn't mean much out there.
And then I did like the stuff with the Rancor and
Oh, we
So
haven't
we haven't talked. Yeah, we
with
haven't talked
Danny
about
Trejo.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
So-
right, the Rancor and Danny Trejo.
yeah, I was
And
thinking
then-
that for Ricky.
Yeah, and then Boba Fett, like, it's like he got a new puppy. It was nice.
I wasn't sure to start off with whether there was. This might still happen, but I doubt it. I felt that the Rancor trainer was holding something back.
I
wasn't
thought so,
telling it
too.
everything.
I thought he was kind of shady.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought.
he's
it
gonna
was-
make
I
him
mean,
eat
it's
them.
Danny
Shady.
Trejo, so you would expect it to be somebody kind of shady.
Yeah, I just
That's
thought
it.
you're not telling anything. I thought right at the last minute he's be the first person he said. I thought right at the last minute he's going to throw himself in front of the Rancor and go, it's me, don't look at him. But I mean, I was sure that he's just telling absolute porkies or something here. But I don't think that's going to happen because we ain't got enough time for that.
So he had the blinders on the Rancor because
Yeah.
whoever it first sees it imprints on, right?
Hmm.
So was his intention
Yeah.
to do that himself? And then the Hutts were like, no, you're going to give that to Boba Fett. Or was...
That
I think
was
he
a
said
weird thing.
He said something. He's like, I intended it to do it myself, but. And how old is that Rancor? That's the thing. We know what a baby Rancor looks like, and that's a full-grown Rancor. So how
And is
long
it
have they
the
had
same
that
one
mask
from,
on?
no,
That
he said-
doesn't imprint.
There's a line.
No,
in
it
there.
can't
He
be
said-
Moochie.
He
I don't
says
know.
it's a calf.
Yeah, he said it's kind
And it imprints. So I don't know that it's a full-grown Rancor yet, or I don't think it's
Pretty close, but we know what a baby Rancor looks like too.
Yeah, it wasn't Moochie either. Yeah, you're right. Well, yeah, I definitely.
Yeah,
remember
so we know
saying
that
something about it.
Moochie.
Oh, that's right.
So we know
yeah.
that Moochie was definitely a calf.
That's
So I
what
mean,
Boba
it might
Fett-
only
Boba
be
Fett-
8 months old or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, didn't the Hutts?
Age-wise... Oh, good.
Boba Fett took Munchie, whatever he's called, didn't he?
No.
No,
what's
no,
his
no,
name?
no,
On
no.
the- I'm not on the... Bib Fortuna
That's a
did.
Bad Batch.
Oh, Bib Fortuna.
Yeah,
that's what
Bib
I meant.
took him.
Bib Fortuna. So I mean, there should already be a Rancor there working around somewhere, shouldn't there?
But that was before.
Yeah, we really don't know what happened.
No, I'm getting really confused.
Yeah, we don't know
Yeah,
what
but-
happened.
This was the episode that the Hutts were like, "Oh, we're sorry, we sent Chrysanthemum
Yeah.
to kill you." It was very weird. That was a very weird. I mean, it was
Like,
a
we
way
tried
to
to
get
kill you, we're sorry.
rank. Yeah, it was a way to Rancor get there. It was like, "We're sorry, we came to apologize. We did." They could have easily not owned it, I guess, but they owned it and said, "Yeah, we're sorry, we sent him to kill you," and it didn't
It's
work.
just-
So we're gonna give
They
you
were
this.
funny because like it really reminded me of like a Zero the Hutt type of character where they're like,
Yeah.
they try to be like Jabba, but
yeah,
Jabba was kind of set
Didn't-
apart from the rest of the Hutts because he was more
Oh,
sinister, I guess.
Zero
And
would have
like
been
these guys are
fantastic.
kind of like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have no spine. They're like, okay.
Well, I think they were sorry that they. I'm sorry that they failed, weren't they? But then also, if they succeeded, that would have been the end of it. But of course, they failed. They didn't want a war, which is
Yeah.
not good for business. So they had to appease
yeah,
them.
that was one
Their
of
ass
them.
off the, you want to get their ass off the planet as quick as possible because they realise that they can't.
Well, and
solve
And then
problems.
I'm thinking that they like kind of want to. Okay, we're gonna step aside, let the Pikes take out Boba Fett, and then we'll come back.
Yeah,
Because
they know
it's
things
still
about to
their
go
land.
down, and they're
They
just
still have claim to
yeah.
it. So maybe that was their mandate. The council, the Hutt council, told them like, well, get out of there and just let it work itself out, and then go back. Once everyone's
Yeah, I
dead.
think they're just trying to take a political route, and we're like, this is Tatooine. We don't care about your family claim.
Yeah.
It's you. You got to kill us to take it. And I love the tease that it's like, can I ride it? And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Oh, yeah.
whatever big battle they're gonna have,
He's
where it's
like, I
gonna
rode
be
much bigger things
Chrysanthemum,
before.
Well,
Fennec, and now he's gonna come riding in on a Rancor. I cannot
Yeah.
wait for the finale.
yeah. There was a
Yeah.
wonderful line in there about I've ridden Beast 10 times its
Yeah.
size to throwback to the holiday special
The
piece. and then-
Mythosaur, yeah.
So that was an interesting, fun tie-in for him, a fun way to
Which
tie it all
was
together. His
also-
excitement around wanting to ride it, learning to
Yeah.
ride it.
And that was mentioned
wanting it to
on
be a thing.
The Mandalorian in the first episode. He's like, your ancestors used to ride the Mythosaur, and he's
Yeah.
going to teach him how to
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah, they
Get
tried
your
to-
meat sword.
So that's a Mandalorian.
Well, that was Mando,
thing.
yeah. So that was Mando trying to ride those whatever funny hobbling or two-legged
Yeah.
things. What the heck were those called? Anyway, so yeah, that it's fun how they're tying things.
Blurks.
Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go. Blurks. How they're trying to tie, able to tie some things and do some stuff like that or whatever to have him eventually riding this thing around.
I thought it was a good
Yeah.
episode. It was
And the
Well, I
Rancor,
think it
how
was a
cool
good-
did the Rancor?
good
I mean,
episode.
obviously the tech is awesome, but how cool did how real
yeah.
did that Rancor look? That's what's fun about what they're doing for us or whatever
I did prefer what they did with the Rancor to the Harryhausen from the first episode. Like it was more, like you said, it was more real. Like it was a creature.
Well, I appreciate the Harryhausen in terms of that's how that creature is going to move. Now, granted, I guess comparing this Rancor to the other Rancor is going to be a little different. But if they didn't need to not Harryhausen that creature, that Harryhausen that creature because that's how that creature moves or looks, let's say, kind of thing.
And even the original Rancor still looks pretty good.
Ooh, he looks a little.
It's the practical effects of it.
Yeah, 4K and 1080p.
Just like Yoda looks better.
Which episode
Yoda
1?
looks better as a practical effect than a CGI.
Or cartoon. If you see, wait till you see Rebels.
Well,
that's stylized. Yeah, they really had some fun stylizing that thing.
Uncle Murray Yoda.
But actually, having said that, Ryan has read the comics, the High Republic comics, and some of Yoda's images in there are reminiscent of Rebels, I have to say.
Very stylized like that.
Yeah, he just doesn't look like
a massive head 2 times the size of the body. It's disturbing to say the least.
Was there anything else in this episode?
We go around the room. Boba says he's got to name the thing.
Sorry? He's got to name it.
Yeah, what you would take poll? I don't even have a guess, so I shouldn't be asking this yet. But do we want to put it out there to take guesses for everybody to see what?
I think it'll just be something new.
Yeah, I'll go for Ranky face.
What are you, 6?
He's gonna name it Tonwi.
I think maybe he'll call it Mace just so you feel better when he punches it or something.
Oh, good call.
He gets it just to get his.
Yeah, is it going to have some sort of tie? Right? Is it going to have some sort of tie, some sort of throwback, some sort of Aura Singh, some sort of
Django.
Yeah, I kind of thought Django too, but that maybe in respect and
no. He did know
to his dad.
I just
that'd be weird. You don't want to be riding Django.
You don't want to be riding Django.
Yeah. I would say behave yourself or I'll feed you to Gary.
They'll probably just skip naming it this season.
He's gonna name it Dengar.
Oh, I like that too. Yeah, just it never gets named. What are we gonna call you? And then just never gets a name.
The Rancor.
Yeah. I think that's enough, really, isn't it? Really to scare people. Rancor, yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows. Yeah, everybody knows. Oh no, the Rancor.
Randy the Rancor.
Okay. Oh no! Oh yeah! Oh no, Randy.
Randy the Rancor.
It's not going to work, is it? Okay, we better move on. Given that I'm sure we're going to be talking a bit more later about other stuff.
Oh, it could be Corey too. Corey the Rancor.
Corey the Rancor. Okay, yeah. Okay, right, yeah. Okay. Chapter 4 was called The Gathering Storm. The synopsis, well, it could be really quick, really, but in the Bactus tank, Fett remembers trying to reclaim his fire spray gunship from Jabba's palace, which was protected by too many guards. When he discovers Shand dying from a gut wound, Fett took her to a Mos Eisley mod parlor, where her life was saved by cybernetics. In return, Fett requested Shand's help to break into the palace, now ruled by Bib Fortuna. After fighting the guards and retrieving Fett's ship, Shand decided to stay with Fett. They killed the biker gang that Fett believed had massacred the Tusken tribe before flying to the Sarlacc pit to retrieve his armor. Shand killed the attacking Sarlacc with a seismic charge, though Fett did not find his armor inside. In the present, Fett emerges from the back tank fully healed. Yay! He witnesses Chrysanthemum fighting Trandoshans in the sanctuary and hires him. At a banquet, he urges Mos Espa's other crime bosses to unite against the Pike Syndicate, but they refuse. With the Rancor's presence, Fett convinces them to remain neutral while he fights the Syndicate alone. Shand suggests they hire reinforcements for the imminent war. Well, there's a lot in here, actually. Though you can say in some respects not much happened, but a lot happened. Yeah, for me, I'm still trying to work out Shand's faults, Shand's faults in all this, and she just seems to be going along for the ride, basically. But anyhow, we'll go around the table again quickly. Ron, what are your thoughts on this episode?
Trying to remember it. That I kind of think, it was the Sarlacc thing. The Fennec Shan, him rushing the tie into the Mandalorian sort of timeline of it all was what was fun, and getting him to see him truly be there and rescue Fennec like we suspected. Obviously we know it now, or whatever, but seeing that moment or whatever. Although if I recall, he didn't have his spurs on in the Book of Boba Fett, but we heard the spur noise in Mando. But there was some fun parts of that scene that I kind of remember taking away, that he knew her. He recognized her. She didn't know him because he didn't have his armor on. And she's like, "Oh, Boba Fett's dead." And he's like, "Yeah, no, I was, but left on the sands of Tatooine, just like you," kind of thing with her. So I think that's where you mentioned about her going along for the ride, but I think she kind of realizing, wait, that's Boba Fett. Yeah, that might be a good wagon to hitch myself to, because that's Boba Fett. I'd be curious to know what she knows. Right, she's so much younger, has to be so much younger, but would know of Boba Fett in legend, or has she around when he was?
She's older than him.
She's older than him?
She was already like a bounty hunter when Omega was a kid in Bad Batch.
Yeah, she was a Bad Batch. She fought that blue guy.
Yeah.
She had to be even young, say in the 20s then.
So right, she's got to know all about Boba Fett and how badass he is, or whatever. So anyway, I think that's kind of where she ended up once she realizes that is Boba Fett that rescued her. She's kind of sticks around, because she pays her debt or she helps him or something or whatever. But then she's like, "Nah, I'm gonna. What else you doing?" And he's like, "I got some other stuff to do or whatever." And she sticks around. So I think she's hitching her wagon to Boba Fett. Why would you not? He obviously respected her, knew who she was, because he called her out as Fennec Shan. He knew who she was right away. Didn't ask her anything. And that's proven to be a fun coupling of those two or whatever. And then breaking into and getting the ship. I just remember in getting the ship, there was a very cool scene where he needs the gate open and she sniper rifles the whatever, and the gate opens and the ship flies out. And that was just so much fun. That was so cool to see the Slave One, back in action, back in his hands, and getting out of there. And the way she helps to escape. Very, very cool episode. I can't remember how it ends. How's it end? Oh, they're with the Sarlacc.
They go to the Sarlacc after that.
Yeah, they do go to the Sarlacc. He kind of goes
meeting,
back in it, and then the ending of it it wasn't subtle, and that's why I say that I think this show we need to start taking on face value in terms of what it's going to show us or what it's telling us is what's going to happen. Because at the end, this is the one where we get the Mando theme. He says we need more help or something. She's like, money can always buy help, and they clearly play the Mando theme. And now having seen Ep 5, we know where that went or whatever. But yeah, there is no subtlety to all this. I did like the kitchen scene. The droids in there, that was so much fun.
Oh my gosh,
so well done.
The rabbit droid.
The rabbit droid, the chef droid. That chef droid's in Attack of the Clones. That's the droid that shoos R2 away. Padme and Anakin are riding the transport, and 3PO. R2's getting food for him, whatever, and that chef droid's like, "Hey, get out of here, no droids," or something like that. And R2's getting a plate for the kids. So that was kind of a neat tie into it.
The rabbit droid was in Clone Wars a lot.
Yeah, that rabbit droid definitely seemed familiar. Is that where he was from?
Yeah, they'd always hold little bombs and run around. Yeah.
Well, he's not. He was the rat catcher. The rat catcher.
Yeah, he was the rat catcher.
Yeah, how bad are the rats? The
Womp rats. They're everywhere.
Womp rat. Yeah.
You gotta shoot them in your T-16.
We got bullseye him. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Murray, your thoughts on this episode?
I like this episode a lot better than the last one. But the last one did grow on me quite a bit, especially when Boba Fett takes Fennec Shan to the mod shop, and that's when I kind of went, oh, okay, so that's why we got that. I mean, obviously, like Ron said, a lot of there's a lot of what you see is what you get on the show, where not to say that everything ties into everything, but that was why they kind of made not a huge deal, but that was kind of a thing in the last episode where and that was where we got that introduction to what was going to happen in episode 4, kind of like a sneak preview of that. The chef droid was probably one of my favorite things because I did notice something about this and the Mandalorian where there's a lot of just ordinary people and droids doing ordinary things, like chefs cooking or whatever. And we're going to talk a little bit about the next episode. What I saw in the next episode that kind of grabs me about this particular iteration of Star Wars. But it was just kind of like a funny little workaday kind of sequence where you just see ordinary people and ordinary droids doing ordinary things, and having it all kind of just go to crap because there's the rat catcher droid and all that and everything going crazy, and that was a pretty fun sequence. I was very excited to hear the theme of the Mandalorian at the very end. And I kind of knew, at that point, again, we're getting very much what you see is what you get. But I knew at that point that meant they were going to bring in the Mandalorian next episode, but I had no idea what was in store for that one.
Yeah, I didn't know they'd go so on board.
They went full bore with that one. That was just but all in all, I really liked this episode.
Okay, very good. Ryan.
I'll touch on it since no one has yet. Fire spray versus Sarlacc pit. Oh my god, that was amazing. Seeing him fly a ship into the Sarlacc pit, and
now we know he didn't kill it when he walked out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think he killed it to begin with. I mean, a little bit of flame on the side, like the thing's a giant alien creature. So, and we got to see a Sarlacc fight a spaceship. Like, this is crazy. I thought that was fantastic. And then the seismic bomb, she just jumps up and starts pressing random buttons. And I'm like, here it comes.
That's my favorite thing I think my favorite weapon in Star Wars. Like when Episode 2 came out, that was like, that's my favorite sequence of the whole movie.
Did you? You said, legendary. Ryan, you said, "Oh, here it comes." Did you know that button was going to release the seismic charge, or once you see the seismic charge sort of quasi falling out of the ship because it wasn't in space, you were like, "Oh, here it comes"?
No, it's after she pressed the button and then the doors open up. I was like, "Oh my god!"
You know what that's going to be? Yeah.
Yeah, when the doors opened up, that's when I knew what that was. I was like, "Oh, there it goes."
I really appreciated the atmosphere gravitational aspect of it. Didn't pop out, it didn't it's meant to be released from the ship and the ship flies away from it. It has no thrusters or whatever, and the other person flies into it, kind of thing, that it sort of bounced around and rattled on the hull of the ship before it made its way down there, kind of thing. Just that little nuance, that little touch was appreciated. Sometimes they do some little things, it was like, you're paying attention to everything, and then other times they really grind me because there's some things where they don't pay attention. I don't want to get into right now, but that was fun. That definitely was fun.
Okay, yeah, it just makes it seem like that fire spray style ship is just the most awkward and terrible thing in the world to fly. He's trying to escape the hangar and he's just staring at the ceiling, and then when he wants to look down, the whole ship rotates, and then he's got to lie down. Fennec Shand falls on the glass and runs around. It's just, the ship's awesome and it's iconic, but realistically, it's like, this thing is just terrible to fly.
Right. I had the same thought.
It's a huge target.
It has a huge profile. When you're flying it, you see the back end, you see the iron holes or whatever you want to say, whatever. So it has a huge profile if you're shooting at it. Yeah. So if you're ever in a dogfight, I don't know that the Slave 1's the thing I want to be in, because if I'm being chased, it just, an X-Wing is nice and sleek, and N1 is nice and sleek. It's a very hard target to hit. A Slave 1 or a fire spray gunship or whatever the heck. Obviously, you'd be the chaser, not the chasee. Because if you get anybody on your six, you're in trouble. You've got to, unless that thing's got some other flying style that we haven't seen yet, where the profile isn't big. But even laid over flat, like it was in the hangar, it's still a pretty sizable profile. But then the Razor Crest is that way too. I kind of thought that when we first saw it, I was like, that's not the best ship to be trying to run away from, because it's a big target.
It's a brick.
Yeah, it's a lot of surface area to hit.
So yeah, his fire spray is definitely it's iconic. It's very cool. And I've seen a lot of people, I'm sure everyone noticed, but I've seen a lot of people online. Again, I feel defensive about some of the stuff, so I dig into it. And I just rewatched the scene not too long ago. But they keep questioning how a ship like his can face down and still stay floating type of thing. So they're like, well, the thrusters are on the back. And we have to remember that we live in a universe where things float. You don't need thrusters to be, in New Hope, Luke flies that land speeder and it doesn't need thrusters. It floats. It uses the anti-grav. And if you watch when Boba Fett's ship starts turning face down, his wings rotate to stay flat. So my theory is that the anti-grav, or the stuff that makes it float without thrust, is from his wings, because his wings stay horizontal with the ground, but the whole ship rotates, and it's those wings that are keeping pretty much lift, keeping the lift, so it can stay, even when the ship is in fly mode, so it's standing up, it can still float perfectly straight up and down like a pencil. And that doesn't make sense there because the thrusters are on the back. But if you picture it like the wings are the anti-grav for floating and the thrusters just move you forward into hyperspace or into sublight speed, that's all it is. So again, I always feel defensive when there's a lot of people bashing on things. It's like, well, we can all find reasons to make it realistic in Star Wars. And those wings is why it can stay upright and still look straight down on that Sarlacc.
Ryan, I love it. Yeah, because I'm usually the one that, it's like, that's fine. I saw it. So that's how it works. And I know it works because it was on screen. So that's Star Wars. But yeah, we have to square it. There's got to be some way to justify it. So when I'm talking with, lay fan, it's like, oh, come on, how's he doing that? It's like, oh, well, it's explainable this way. Oh, I like it. So the wings, those wings that are out there are what tend to rotate or orient themselves with whatever it is that needs to be so they can fly in whatever orientation, and that seems to be a great explanation as to the how. That right? Hey, how is that ship flipped around? That he's got.
Because if you watch, they always stay horizontal. So whether it's up like a pencil or facing down, it just allows it to rotate, and everything has. I mean, even the Vespas or whatever they were, they float. They have anti-gravitational thrusters and stuff. Everything floats, whether it be carbon freezing. Those things float.
Right. Well, then help me out.
So everything floats.
Square Fennec's sentient droid mapping thing she sends off to go find all the guards and it knew to hide, like it heard footsteps coming around the corner, so it knew to like hide over here around the corner. And
it's just a spy droid. That's all.
It was just and then it's got and it needed the bright red LEDs so we as the audience could see it. I understand that, but it's got these bright LEDs that if anybody is walking the halls, like, hey, what's that thing? Oh, that's one of them spy droids. Get it quick. Obviously, why it's hiding and everything. That's the kind of thing that it's like, oh, okay, well, that needs to be. Could be better, well done.
That's like it
needs to work.
That's in every camera. That's in every camera though for the movies. Like we were just watching the new season of Dexter, and there's a random person kidnapped in a room, and you look up at the ceiling, there's a camera, and it's flashing red. And I'm like, if you kidnap somebody, why would you have a flashing red camera in the corner?
Turn the LED off. Yeah,
it's just what movies do to show it's a camera.
Yeah, so like TV programs, any TV program where a couple gets in bed and go, "Oh, good night, John. Good night, Marianne," or something. They turn the light off by the side of the bed. It's like day night.
Yeah,
It's always. I thought I can't go to sleep like that, but they do it because obviously they turn the light off and it's dark. You wouldn't see a flipping thing.
It'd be Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so it's always more brighter in a bedroom or a nighttime scene than it needs to be in these things, isn't it? But yeah, I exactly what you mean.
But yeah, so the fire spray versus Sarlacc was awesome. I like that they released the kind of the picture of the way a Sarlacc is, and they explain that the tongue has the beak and the mouth is still the thing with all the teeth. So it's definitely throwing back from the original and then to the special edition when they added the beak type thing. They're like, no, the tongue is just a beak and the mouth is still a mouth. So I found that very interesting.
Point out,
they did try to square the beak for sure.
Yeah, they were trying to say that they didn't have the beak anymore. I'm like, it totally did because that's what grabbed the ship. Like,
oh, you see the beak for sure.
Yeah, you see the beak for sure.
Shining the light around or whatever, and all of a sudden it comes out. It's a bit of a jump scare, it's just Star Wars. But yeah, it was definitely the beak, and in a way to show you how the beak is down in there. Like Ryan said, that it kind of makes the special edition and the original both work, or just it squares the beak, basically.
Going back to the other episode, like, do you really think he wanted to walk all the way back up where that tongue was at?
It does make for a. There's still some logistics because he did have some light shining on his helmet. I went back and looked at that. There's definitely some daylight. There's some sort of light shining on his helmet. Now it needs to be there because, like Steven just pointed out, if we go to his stomach we're not going to be able to see him. You know, they had to have something on. He could have turned his headlight on and we'd be able to see it or whatever. But so he did it. He made his way out to the side and climbed through a cubic ton of sand. It worked. It somehow he did. I'm past it, kind of. Because the whole flying fighting the ship was okay. So the thing held onto the ship. The thing held onto the ship. Was that strong? Like Lando. I guess the problem I had, the tentacles were kind of pulling Lando down, and he was kind of holding on to sand so that he couldn't go down right away. So the tentacles, yes, they do pull things in or whatever, but but yet now they're holding on to a starship that's like full thruster reverse or whatever. That
again, it's just to kind of float the ship. How strong are the anti-navs?
Okay, they're as strong as Lando gripping sand trying to hold himself and being pulled down the sloped pit. Yeah, how strong are the anti-gravs? But it definitely was made for a stunning visual, that's for sure. That's where I guess it got a little comic booky for me in terms of that was like a comic book panel to have the tentacles holding on to the Slave One hovering over top of the Sarlacc.
But they were all grabbing the ship. Where the other one's kind of like the Sarlacc didn't know what to grab because there was like so much food around.
There was
Return of the Jedi, he was eating people, he was fighting other people.
Oh yeah, he was distracted. Okay. Love it, Ryan. Love it. Yeah, he had other stuff going on.
Yeah, it's a busy Sarlacc.
It was a busy Sarlacc. All the tentacles were off doing things. Right, he can't play the piano. He can do, he's like me. He can do one thing at a time with one hand. So yeah. Can't be trying to hold a starship down and.
It was hungry.
Is Chrysanthemum, is he actually now fully employed by Boba? Or is he just because he says like you need a job, and then the next time we see Chrysanthemum is that he's bodyguarding the meeting. But did you just hire him just to stand there at the meeting, or has he hired him for?
Well, didn't he find him at the club?
Time? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he went looking for him.
Yeah, he found him at the club, and he goes, "Oh, you're a mate. You need a job." And then the next minute, he's there standing around the meeting table. Did he just hire him to stand at the meeting table, or has he just hired him now as a full time?
No, he's staff now.
That's all you need Wookiees for, is to be threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to have, trying to be the new guy, and like that one family member said or whatever, it's like, what do we need you for? We'll just kill you right now kind of thing or whatever. So, yeah, I think it was good to have him, whether he's full-time staff or there just for that meeting, it don't matter. I think you have him there for that meeting and then say, hey, you want a full-time gig? And Chrysanthemum's either going to say yay or nay kind of situation that I think he needs to be muscled, that he's proven to be strong enough to be able to do it. So, yeah, he's going to be part of Fett's crew to some extent.
I wonder if Wookiees healed quickly, because he didn't even have any bandages on from all those stab wounds or anything, did he? He wasn't even limping.
Chewbacca gets shot, and then he's fine later in the movie. So.
How about the Twi'lek talking him down, calm in voice and everything? He's like, you don't want to, and he does it anyway.
Oh, I love the facial expressions of the Trandoshans. It's just amazing, brilliantly. I can help but chuckle, even though she's about to have his arm ripped off.
I just love her dialogue in that scene. She's you got nothing left. You're good. You've done this. You don't need to make the.
We all know how BA you are. You don't need to rip this guy's arms off. Yeah. And it's like, rip his arms off.
I'll clear your bar tat. Just let the guy go. Whatever. I'll clear your bar. And
he does
it anyway.
So do we think so? I'm trying to work it in. Was Chrysanthemum? Was he drunk? Was he just angry, or does he just not like Trandoshans? What was his motivation for getting up and just?
Well, it was on Monday.
There's a war. All three. There's a war. Yeah, there's a war between Wookiees and Trandoshans. Like I read in some of the books, and I love the idea that they hate each other. They just two species, two neighboring planets that just have a natural hate for each other. And you got to think they're opposites, and even the way the characters are designed. Trandoshans heal. They're strong. They have claws. And then there's Wookiees that are much bigger and have.
Ryan, I don't think you've gotten to the episode yet in Clone
That's
Wars.
what I was getting ready to say, Ricky. Yeah.
Maybe that was the beginning of it. It was that episode of Clone Wars.
I'm in season 4, episode 8.
No, that's what is that in, Ricky? Where we see, because I think we see
the Youngling arc.
The Trandoshans. are kind of hunt Wookiees, enslave them, or otherwise aren't nice to Wookiees.
Right,
I don't
yeah.
think Wookiees are the other way in reverse to Transdoshans. They just
No,
don't
no,
like
the
Transdoshans because of
Trandoshans
what they
kidnap
did to them.
people and have their like predator style like hunting thing.
Yeah,
And
where's that
then-
on the timeline of all this? That's well before all of this,
I've
right?
seen
Yeah, that's
I
yeah.
rewatched, so that's before that.
Yeah, way before all of this, whatever. So yeah, there's part of that, Ryan, that is there's something to the Transdoshan and Wookiee. There is not much love from the Wookiee standpoint.
'cause the
So yeah,
Wookiees
when he
don't
sees
help.
that
It's,
Transdoshan
yeah, it's almost
over
like
there,
a hate that's been going on for, generations that today no one can really explain why. They just know that they hate each other. So he's just
Yeah.
sitting at the bar and he's like, man, I don't like that these Transdoshans are having fun. So he's like, I'm just going to go screw them up. I'm just going to go start
It
trouble
was all
because
three.
I
He
can.
hates him. He was drunk and was just otherwise just done with it.
He was-
Maybe I don't know. Maybe
He was
there was
mad
like
that he was
a-
captured.
Maybe there's some kind of hollow chess tournament where a Trandoshan beat a Wookiee, and that's where it stems from.
I'd say Hatfield and McCoy's, but I don't know that the Wookiees have a hatred for the Transdoshans other than because of what the Transdoshans did to them. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
theirs has to be there because of how the Transdoshans treated them. They can't just look there, aren't looking the other way kind of thing. Whatever. So I don't know if it goes both ways, but for different reasons. I don't know. I don't have a good way of explaining where I think the
just think
Wookiee side comes from.
They're
But it's
great.
a
They're great species to pit against each other.
yeah. It's
So
a
I
great,
love the fact that
It's
there's
aliens
a
and
war kind of going on.
predators, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked in how this episode, like, I mean, I'm one of the weirdos that likes episode 2 a lot, so like I've seen it like a bazillion times. But like I don't know if it's Tamura's acting or how he like is basically Daniel Logan in the other movie. Like when he's shooting the the Sarlacc or shooting down the biker gang, like he's making that angry face like Boba did in episode 2, and he's shooting stuff, and then just everything in there is just like a callback, pushing the buttons and dropping the seismic charges and all. Like it's so Boba Fett in episode 2. Like as a kid, like I love how they're kind of like.
Doesn't he yell at
together.
not yell at Fennec, but doesn't he say don't push my buttons or something like that?
Yeah, don't touch the button, which is kind of like a Mando thing.
I guess they're just trying to be stern. It was like, well, yeah, but she did save things. Anyway, I thought that was a
Like
weird.
Dad's shit.
Don't touch my buttons. Don't push my buttons.
Yeah, I just like how the callbacks to episode 2 in the show are.
Oh,
Which
yes.
I mean, episode 2 is like the essential most we see a Boba Fett character. I mean, Jango Fett is basically Boba Fett, so it makes sense. And then I don't know, I just love it. I like the way they're tying everything in together, especially like the Return of the Jedi stuff too. It's like it's one long story for me, so I don't really
I feel like Tamura is definitely making the character his
Yeah.
own, though. They're bringing
yeah.
out his culture and stuff like that. The theme is just getting so good. I'm loving the theme more and more. It's like, hup, and then all the dancing and
you're right.
It's great.
My first watched it because obviously I said to you before with the Mandalorian at the end. I used to stay and watch the whole credits at the end because of that music and the concept arts and that kind of stuff. Loved that. And then when we got this the Book of Boba Fett music at the end, I was thinking, well, I watched it until the concept art stuff finished, and I thought, well, I'm not really into this music, but I am now. It took 2 or 3 episodes, but I like the music now.
I agree.
Yeah, if you take a cross country, take a cross country trip and only have one cassette tape in the car, and the radio stations can't be found or whatever, you'll listen to that cassette. You'll end up, it might not be your favorite music, but you'll end up liking it eventually because if you listen to it enough times, you're like, I was the same way. I don't know that I cared for the Fett music too much, but now you hear it and you're just like, oh yeah, okay, that's Fett. Let's settle in. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's have the ride.
I found myself sometimes after watching it going in the house, go dum de dum dum de dum 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 dum. Like that.
Yeah.
So
getting really epic.
It's definitely got his into me now. Yeah.
Then hey,
It's
I
very
like the
novel sounding.
I like the music that comes in, the sort of triumphant music, like when you see the Slave One for the first time. There's a triumphant sort of not a fanfare, but I can't describe music very well. So yeah. Anyway, yes,
That's
the music cues are
yes,
working.
fanfare.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
And
fanfare,
all
but it's not very
quick-
trumpety. So yeah, but that is. So on that, fanfare. Move on to the next episode.
I was going to say about that thing. I know because there's quite a lot of as I say, theme music and end credit music now. When you've got that chanty stuff in it, and what I love is that you actually listen to it, and you actually so they're actually saying absolutely nothing in particular. It's unbelievable. I saw something on YouTube about it when this chap who does it. Is it Bear McGreedy and that kind of stuff? Is he called Bear McGreedy? He does some music for some other stuff, and it literally just people just go and they get these singers in, and they just go. You just chant. They go, and it's absolutely. They're not actually any words that you can actually comprehend at all. But I just found it funny. Anyhow, okay.
Well, kind of like Maul's. It's not Maul's theme, but the big theme at the end of episode 1. There's no words in that. People say there is. Talks about corn on the cob or whatever.
The thing is, when you first hear it, it's going in the background. You think they are singing something, don't you? You think they are singing words, but when you actually listen to it carefully, you realise they're actually singing rubbish.
No, they're vocalizing.
Yeah, they're
not singing like words, like Duel of the Fates. Duel of the Fates has actual words to it.
Right.
It doesn't seem like that.
It's not lyrics. What I know of it, I remember I went to Star Wars in Concert, the thing hosted by Anthony Daniels, and that was just a trip. And did a backstage thing. Remember seeing some music or talking to somebody, whatever. And I was wondering, are you guys actually asking somebody if they were actually saying words? And they said, no, it's just things like Marie said to help us vocalize what we're supposed to be saying, whatever. It's not like literal translated words. But then in learning about the music over the years or whatever, I believe it is words. It's like some archaic language or something out there. Not that they translate into anything, but they're sing-songy, vocalizing things that sound good to make the Duel of the Fates sound as awesome as it is. So I think I know them to be words that they are singing, vocalizing with, but they're not literal translation into this is the bad guy, he's about to attack, type of words or lyrics, if you will. They're just vocalizations, but they're not made up oohs and ahs or whatever they're saying. They are trying to say There's
a lot of it now. I mean, almost every show I've watched in the last 5 years, Vikings, Black Sails, Spartacus, all I've got those kind of chants and stuff in the background, and same sort of kind of style. And I really like it. Even though it's not actually you're not going to download the lyrics and sing them, but you can.
But I have seen you said about Can Corn. I have seen where the Duel of the Fates people have put visualization to the sound, the vocalization that we're hearing, and you can hear them saying Can Corn and RC Cola.
It's just funny and stuff.
Yeah, it is funny. We'll have to find that.
There's also something, this is going slightly off topic. There's something here I'm not sure it's the same in the US, but in the UK, if you haven't got lyrics to a piece of music, you can't claim rights, some sort of copyrights and stuff for it. I think there's something like that. So you get people who like the theme, the theme EastEnders over here and stuff. Somebody put lyrics to it.
So you're telling me the UK doesn't have a Yanni?
A what? What's that?
So what I just heard was if your music doesn't have lyrics, you can't lay copyright to it. So if you're somebody that just does
some legality about it. I mean,
if you just are an artist that just does instrumentalization, like a Yanni.
No. I'll Google it and I'll try and get you the answer for them. There is something about lyrics and legality and stuff over here on pieces of music, but I can't tell you exactly what it is.
Daft Brits.
Okay. Anyhow. We've got half hour left, so we need to move on to the next episode. So, chapter 5.
It's still all Daft Punk's music now.
Yeah. Chapter 5 was entitled "The Return of the Mandalorian."
Okay,
so,
subtly.
I mean that really we got that one, didn't we? Exactly where it was going. So, after Din Djarin tracks and kills a bounty, he delivers the bounty's head for directions to a Mandalorian hideout. There he finds the Armorer and Paz Vizsla, survivors of their tribe of Mandalorian warriors, who inspect the Darksaber that he won from Moff Gideon. The Armorer explains that whoever wins the Darksaber in combat can become the ruler of Mandalore, though their civilization was destroyed by the Empire. The Armorer turns Din Djarin's Beskar spear into a gift for his former charge, Grogu. Vizsla, a descendant of the Darksaber's creator, Tara Vizsla, challenges Djarin to a duel for the saber. Djarin defeats Vizsla, but reveals that he previously broke their tribe's code by removing his helmet. Rejected by the tribe, Djarin takes a commercial transport to meet Pinemoto on Tatooine, who has an old N1 starfighter to replace his previous ship, the Razor Crest. Together, they fix and modify the starship, and Djarin takes it for a test flight. Upon his return, Fennec Shand arrives and asks Djarin to assist Boba Fett in the upcoming war. He agrees, but only after he visits a friend. All you need are friends. Okay, so I will say very briefly to get my 2 pence worth off. I wish they hadn't hijacked Boba Fett's story like this, but hey, it is what it is. Ron, what did you think?
I just kept seeing comic book panels flash by as I watched the episode on the very first viewing of it. I have since come to terms with it and come to enjoy it. But man, it was in a word, it was exposition. It was a whole lot of going on, like I say, kind of hijack Boba Fett's story in order to tell more Mandalorian story. I did appreciate how they handled the Darksaber in his physical handling of it, of having a problem with it. That whole George Lucas broadsword heavy, the teachings that we've learned from the Jedi over the years, that you have to control the lightsaber and all that. That he goes and hurts himself with it as a thing.
There was a whole episode or two in Rebels, wasn't there, with Kanan teaching names I've forgotten.
Sabine, yeah,
Darksaber in its ways and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, there was a panel a literal comic book panel that popped in my head when the bad guy at the beginning says, I'm sure you look like a reasonable man. I'm sure we can work some sort of deal or something like that. And then there's just the next comic book panel that is the Mandalorian's face, where it is, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. You knew it was coming. It was awesome, but it was I don't want to say formulaic. I can tell.
So was he going to have him ride the bus with him after he captured him warm? Because he didn't have a ship.
Well, yeah, that was another question I definitely had. How did he get to wherever the heck he was? How did he get back from wherever the heck he was?
2 adults, please.
Yeah. It'd be a weekend at Bernie's sort of. No. My buddy here. He's out of it. He's blotto. I'm a drag him into
his head. He's off his head.
He's blacked out, drunk here, whatever. He's fine. Don't. Tis but a flesh.
Was that Carry On? You think?
Yeah. But yeah, just an awesome episode of The Mandalorian as far as Boba Fett goes. I mean, obviously, but it's all going to tie in. We all kind of knew the Book of Boba Fett was Mando 2.5 type of season. This is just I don't think any of us, we all knew the Mando was returning to some extent from Ep 4 in the theme. I don't think any of us thought he was like taking over the entire, what Boba Fett's name is said at the end, and he's like, yeah, I'll work for him, tell him it's on the house or whatever. But yeah, Boba Fett not in this episode, which is, an odd tagline of sorts for a Book of the Boba Fett episode. But the end one, the scene at the end, the building the ship and him not wanting it and then eventually wanting it, that was fun. That was really, really enjoyed. I mean, they took a lot of time. They took the last half of the episode building that ship, flying that ship, and him punching it with the cops and everything. It was quite entertaining.
You gotta love a good building montage.
Yeah, building montage. But it wasn't a montage. It was like a building episode. It was a building half of episode montage. But yeah, just catching all those parts. Him flying through the, it's like taking out. I've put this online a couple places or whatever. That just I had a little bit of him taking out the brand new, freshly built sports car down the winding road that he's never been on before, and and giving it what for through all there seems a little like, wait, what? But obviously he survived, or that ship has anti-avoidance capabilities or something that he's able to navigate and do what he did. But yeah, the throwbacks, the tiebacks to pod racing scenes and course, Beggar's Canyon, all that good stuff in this episode. It was so much fun. That was a quick episode in terms of sitting down and watching it until it was over.
Didn't he say something like, I don't know how to fly this or something, or at the start or something?
Yeah, at the beginning he's like, it handles a little. She's like, you're used to gunship or a transport or something, you gotta basically said you're used to driving a sedan, drive it like a sports car, and then once he got into it, then he's like, oh yeah, this baby handles like a go-kart. This thing's on rails. It's like, yeah, he
went from an RV to like a coupe. So.
yeah. I like that he polishes, and makes it razor crusty in terms of, polishes off all the color. Style. There was one mod of the ship I don't care for. It was like the ramjet air intake turbo thing that's on the engine block, exposed engine air filter for the engine block on the. It's like the engines are on the two sides. I'm not sure what that thing. Now, in looking at it, it could be a weapon, perhaps, but in rewatching the episode, the thing sort of like when he cranks the engine, like a car movie, when he cranks the engine and it turns over, that thing that I take issue with, that could be a weapon, it shakes like an engine would shake when you hit the throttle, and like roam, and you see it sort of torque with the engine. So it's, I'm not sure how an N1's built, but I really think the engines are the two nacelles or whatever that are on the side of it, and not quite sure what's in the front middle part there, but it was fun to watch, so I'll have to get over it. But it was a damn good episode.
I think it was almost like a callback to George Lucas. I mean, wasn't one of his first movies kind of old racing car based?
Yeah, and it was yellow. It was Milner's Ford.
Certainly, but I got to figure out what that exposed air engine block thing is. Then I'll be better.
I know the name of it. It's a Turbonic Venturi, a simulator. So I don't know if that helps much, obviously. But, Venturi is almost made for switching power. Venturi is something that moves back and forth. So you got to think of it as like there's two engines. So Venturi would help kind of balance out the power. And, to make it race car-ish, they power put it right there in the middle.
Yeah. The thing he had that everybody's saying, oh, that's the thing that was in the trash compactor.
Yeah.
That was some sort of like turbo add-on or something or whatever. And I'm kind of having an issue with... Why the hell would that be in the trash compactor of the Death Star of the detention wing? If it's an engine model,
they work on a lot of
someone's ship.
They work on a lot of ships.
But if they kidnap somebody,
it was a bad catalytic. It's a bad catalytic converter. It's a bad catalytic converter. They just threw in the garbage.
That's right. They stole it off the pike on the detention block trash compactor. They threw it away there. That was.
Well, I mean, the ship was probably in there too. I'm pretty sure.
In the detention,
there's probably a lot of chutes.
What was
a lot of shoots to the one, but I thought Luke says no, and they shut off all the where are we at? We're in the detention center or whatever. Or he says the cell block, and he was like, shut them all down. So there's like more than one trash compactor. So to say there's a lot of chutes and that came from the hangar and they threw away a catalytic converter is like anyway. There's some way to square it. I just need it squared.
What else was that thing?
All right, Murray.
I like that they stole it off the pike.
Awesome.
What do you say? Sorry. He says something about the Jawas crawled under. They insinuate that they crawled under and stole it nicked it off the pikes while they were parked somewhere. And Mando says, "Oh, brave little buggers!" Or he says something about the Jawas that I thought was cute.
Yeah.
All right, Murray.
I liked this episode a lot from the outset, even though I was looking for Boba Fett the whole time and he never showed his face. Because Boba Fett, you would have thought he would have been in there even for a split second, but I guess it was just one of those little side adventures that in the book that like the main character doesn't appear in. But that aside, touching on again, one of the things that I really like about this iteration of Star Wars is that whole workaday thing where you just kind of see people in that universe kind of going about their days doing kind of crappy jobs if you really think about it, because that whole butcher shop
cutting meat, that's
a really crappy job, like but it's one of those aspects of the Mandalorian and now Book of Boba Fett that I really enjoy, that you kind of just see people going about their lives. It's not all about like the rebellion or all about the Empire or all about the, Boba Fett's gang that he's assembling. You kind of get a whole glimpse of the universe.
Well, it's like who knew like what they did with the moisture when it got evaporated? You knew Luke's homestead.
You never knew what the moisture farmer actually did. Like they mention it, but like they don't actually like show you what the the end result of that is. And that's one thing I'm kind of liking about The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, is that you kind of get more than a glance at that sort of thing. Like it opens up the world a whole lot. But going back to the actual episode itself, the casting out of Din and by the armor, telling him that he's basically not a Mandalorian anymore, go away, reminded me a lot too. It touches back on the prequels, and that's another thing about these new shows, that they touch on the prequels a lot, and the Jedi and their whole blindness to and the rigidity in that you can't fall in love, you can't do this, you can't do that. There was a lot of parallel in the way that the old Jedi were, the old Jedi Order, and a lot of the things that I think we don't get to see this a lot, but a lot of the things that Luke probably might have seen that was wrong with the old Jedi and their hubris kind of thing, and that's probably going to be like a big. I'm thinking that's going to be like a big conflict in the upcoming season of The Mandalorian, like what it means to be a Mandalorian kind of thing, like the different ways.
Yeah, they're already called. Yeah, he's already called a religious zealot by other Mandalorians, so
right.
It's almost like an awakening that, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah, exactly.
He's been kidnapped by a cult, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So I thought that was an interesting aspect of it. Him being on the transport, that was the another, like, again, I'm always taken by the little bits of comedy in the show, because the whole thing where he's trying to get on the transport with all his weapons and then trying to claim that, hey, these are part of my religion, this is why I have to have them with me.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, sorry, not gonna fly.
He was trying to go on Star Tours. They wouldn't let him take his weapons with him.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. All in all, this is an episode I really, really liked, even though, like I said, we don't ever get to see the book of Boba Fett. It's all of a sudden the book of Din Djarin, but it was a great episode for me.
Yeah, this was one of the best episodes of Mandalorian or anything that they ever had. It was just steeped with lore, callbacks from beginning to end, adventures. It was everything that I love about Star Wars, where it's one of the big reasons I read the books and the comics, because there's always more to learn somewhere else, and it's callbacks, the Night of 1,000 Tears or whatever it is. Now I want to know more about that. Like every little blurb of anything is like, well, now I want to know about that. Well, now I want to know about that too. And now the whole episode was filled with it. And I think that's, again, some of the negativity is
Mandalorian Jedi too. That's even more lore.
Yeah, Tar Vizsla or whatever it is.
Yeah, didn't they add? Is this the first time we heard that the Darksaber was created by a Mandalorian that was also a Jedi?
No, they did.
First time we heard that.
No,
Where did we hear?
Clone Wars, right? Or was it Rebels?
Rebels.
I know.
No,
I think I know it was created. It was created by somebody that was a Jedi and then was used to kill Jedi. I kind of knew it existed.
Yeah, it was ancient.
That it was a Mandalorian. It was an ancient weapon. It was used to defeat Jedi. But I don't think we've ever heard that it was created by a Mandalorian that was a Jedi.
He was the only Mandalorian Jedi.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Well, then why was it used to defeat Jedi?
It wasn't.
No, I think he created it, and the Jedi have a problem with Mandalorians as it is, because their armor is the anti of the lightsaber. So there's already like an unease between them. They're like, that's why they say, well, we only use our armor for defense. And I love that aspect too, so that was obviously not made. I mean, it could have been made by Mandalore, his spear, but Din's, I guess, creed doesn't believe in weapons made of Beskar. And I loved that aspect where they say, no, we don't use our weapons for attack. We use our one-of-a-kind Beskar as defense type of thing. And it's the ultimate defense against the lightsaber.
They don't want Beskar weapons floating around.
Yeah.
Well,
that it damages Beskar. I'm like, well, that's interesting.
It gets to that dogmatic nature of the prophecy, and the whole Darksaber has got to be wielded and got to be won in combat. And Paz Vizsla goes all macho over. He just met the guy. He's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're back, and here, let me heal you." And he said, "Thank you for your sacrifice and all that." And then next scene he's like, I'm gonna fight you for it because I want to rule. You don't deserve to hold it. It just, I mean, there's 3 of them. If he took that to the true end before the armorer stops him and kills Dejarin, now they're down to 2. And yeah, he's got the Darksaber and gets to rule, but he's ruling over him and her. You know, just it's
like,
a
I'm
weird,
the king of nothing.
Yeah, it's a
They don't even have a
weird
planet.
Well,
weird.
they're still looking for someone to unite Mandalore. So, and he thinks he gets right just because it's his bloodline. And, you know, there was even a Vizsla in Clone Wars. And I gotta ask, is that the first time we learned his name? Like, wasn't he just called the Heavy Mandalorian?
Yeah.
In the
No, they
previous
said his.
season?
I think they said his name before in the other episode.
Because I mean, I've seen no talk on it. Because as soon as I seen the armorer call him Paz Vizsla, I stopped right away, and I was like, why does Vizsla sound familiar? And then that goes into, you know, he's the one that created the Darksaber, and I'm like, oh my god, that's right. But I don't
wanna say
remember
they
her
did-
calling him
I wanna
Paz
say they did-
Vizsla in season 1, because the
I wanna
internet
say
would have blown
Din-
up over that.
Din says
She
his
didn't.
name, or either they had merch come out that had his name, like a Black Series toy that had his name.
The Black Series
I just
tour
find it
says
surprising.
Heavy Mando.
Does it? Oh,
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it
that's what I
was
thought.
Because
Heavy Mando,
that's-
but
Mando.
somehow we
'Cause I rem-
somehow we knew his name, whether it was
well, because I remember
in series.
dots being connected, because that's Jon Favreau, and like he played Pre Vizsla in the Clone Wars, so he was basically playing his own descendant in the show. And I thought that was like season 1. They explained that. Maybe it was one of the behind the scenes things. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
so yeah, the figure is called Heavy Infantry Mandalorian, and the helmet is called the Heavy Mandalorian. Like, it's all product placement and everything selling is all heavy infantry. I don't think he calls them. Yeah,
I have to
even the
rewatch Mando
Funko
season 1 and
Pops
2.
are.
Is this the first
fan-
time he's
so-
he's named
Yeah, even this
In
Funko Pop is heavy infantry.
in show? Yeah, in show.
So that's why immediately I was like, wait a minute, they actually called him a name. This means something. And then she immediately talks about Tar Vizsla, and I was like, oh my god, he's a descendant. Like, right away, I thought that was incredible. Like, such huge character growth. So he's obviously related to the guy from Clone Wars, who I've seen that episode. He's got to be a child of him, because he's got the same. Well, I guess it could be a cousin or something. It's got to be, after 1,000 years, it's got to be a pretty big bloodline. Yeah. So him being tied directly into the saber is pretty fantastic. So him challenging it, you know, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm the son of King Arthur. I should have this sword. So beat me for it.
Do we think the Armorer was part of Death Watch on Concordia? Because they were the ones that had the Darksaber, and they were the ones that wanted to keep the old warrior ways of the Mandalorian.
She
They're
did
ridiculously old.
Well, she did say if it wasn't
But
for
it's not-
Death Watch, she wouldn't be
It could
here.
be yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, because then Bo-Katan is Death Watch, so, and then she doesn't like Bo-Katan. So who knows? I don't know. She might be the generation after Bo-Katan and Pre-Vizsla and stuff. So maybe that's why she's
Yeah,
got
so
some of her
there's obviously different
information jarbled.
sect where some of Death Watch believes in the old ways of not removing a helmet, but that doesn't really work for an animated show where you got to show people's faces. So they just remove helmets. And you know, that was a question back then too that I remember people asking is, I thought they didn't remove their helmets. Well, now they're trying to get into the messy situation of Mandalorians of some do, some don't, just like Tusken Raiders. Some do believe in kidnapping women and children and making them slaves. Some don't. You know?
Right. Yeah, it does make for a messy, or you know, they're trying to explain the Mandalorian and the changes or the fractured nature of what everyone knows about the Mandalorians by making it a fractured nature of what the Mandalorians are in universe, that it's all over the place. There's different factions. So everything works for everybody to some extent of what they are, of helmet, not helmet, one weapon to rule them all. Because again, the whole, whoever wields this weapon that was won in battle, although she does say something by Creed, but it allows for someone like a Maul to come in and be the leader of Mandalore.
Yeah.
So somebody has to point out the fallacy of the prophecy, or the ludicrousness, or you know, do we truly have to? Who said the whoever why is that carrying
made
any
it up?
weight? Somebody has to question the why is that carrying weight that whoever wins this, or you have to win this in battle in order to be the ruler. How about a better way of determining things?
That's just what Mandalorians are. They're a battle race. The strongest gets to lead. And even in Legends books, in the book Revan, which is 5,000 years ago, long before the Darksaber, Mandalorians ruled by whoever held a certain helmet. Like there is a helmet that was hidden on a planet that Revan, when he turned dark, he went and slaughtered the Mandalorians. He stole this ancient relic helmet that says who the leader is, and it pretty much disjointed all the Mandalorians because now they had nothing to show, pretty much nothing to fight for. Like, okay, I'm fighting for this helmet to be the strongest and be the leader. And he took the helmet and he hid it on a planet, and the Mandalorians pretty much fell apart with no real leader, and it was all infighting and people saying like, no, I deserve it. Well, then he finds when he turns good, he goes and gets the helmet again and gives it back to the Mandalorians so he can create an army and is something to fight for. So the Mandalorians have always had someone that led them by strength with some ancient artifact. Well, now it's just the Darksaber in the past 1,000 years.
That's cool and all, but when are they going to smarten up and realize that ain't working out for us because they're down to 2? With that sort of mentality, that sort of you need this thing in order to be the thing that versus I don't want to say a democratic way of doing it, but just they're and maybe that's what Fett does. I've heard some speculation to that extent.
And Ron, that's what brings me to like everybody keeps saying like, oh, why did they do this and just have a whole episode of Matt? I don't think they do anything like on accident. I think you need all this lore for Boba Fett's story because I think where it's leading to, and it's just a theory, but like in the books, Boba Fett went back to Mandalore and united everybody, and he was the leader. So what's to stop in the show them giving some exposition about the Darksaber? And, Din's not going to be a leader. He's not a leader type guy. He just wants to hang out with his little green buddy. So, I mean, who's to say he doesn't give the Darksaber to Boba Fett? Boba Fett's kind of training to be in charge on Tatooine. He's eventually going to move to Mandalore and try to rebuild the Mandalorians. Who's going to challenge him for the saber? Like, who's going to say, oh, you can't have that? Like, we'll take it from you then, And
well, so I've seen that positive, but that would mean Fett and Djarin have to fight. But they don't
because what if neither one believes in any of that? Boba doesn't.
That's what I mean. That's where they could square it up.
They have to fight.
Why?
It says who? They don't believe
because that's their society.
That's what we're arguing
society
is that hasn't gotten them very well because they're down to 2.
Yeah.
So maybe Fett and Djarin's.
Well, no, 2 of their religious sect. They're down to 2 or 3, and they were hunted. There's still. I mean, Bo-Katan's a Mandalorian. She has a whole moon full of Mandalorians. So we know there's lots of Mandalorians.
And she's Darksaber. So, I mean, not averse, but she's Darksaber subscriber.
Well, and that's when you come to Boba Fett saying, "Okay, take the sword from me, then, and then you can be the leader." But if they can't, then they can't, and he's the one that's in charge.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem with the come take the sword from me and you can be the leader, because then somebody's going to perish, and now you're down one more person. And like Paz Vizsla, she stopped it. What's stopping him from challenging him again? Is there anything in the rules? Is there an asterisk to say once you choose?
He wants to rule with respect and not fear, kind of thing. I think this is basically setting Boba up to be like he was in the EU and be in charge of Mandalore and the lead Mandalorian. I mean, the episode's called Return of Mandalorian, but it could be talking about Boba,
Yeah, I don't think he has to kill him. It's no. I do what you're saying, Ricky, that eventually in another 2 seasons or something like that, it comes back around where Boba, because I mean, really, what's the future for Boba? I mean, his character has to lead to something.
Well, do we think this is it for Fett, or do we think we get more Fett?
I hope we get more Fett.
That's the thing. This is it for Fett. What does that mean? He's just going to sit on Tatooine forever? It's kind of like he has to lead to something else to make Fett cool.
And I was joking that Din is going to go to he goes go find Grogu and Luke, and then tell Luke, nice seeing you again. I got to go back to Tatooine to help Boba Fett take over. And then Luke's like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
It almost seems like Mando is he's going to go see Grogu before he goes to see Boba Fett, because he straight up says,
he straight up says, I got to go see a little friend. Fennec, he tells Fennec exactly.
Well, that means we've got a whole episode next time of him going off and see Grogu, isn't it? Really, which is
Well,
They might
maybe
skip that.
maybe we don't
Unless-
see it at all, and we just see it does that TV trope where, Boba Fett's just about to be killed by somebody, and then Mando comes in and saves the day, and he's like, "I'm back. He's where you've been. I've been." That we don't see it in Book of Boba Fett at all. He's not around the next couple episodes, but comes back in the next time.
Does Luke come
minutes.
back with Din to help Boba Fett?
Does who?
Luke. Wouldn't
No,
that
he
be
sends.
awesome?
No.
He's busy. He's busy doing Jedi Temple stuff, or whatever. So he's going to send his buddies Han and Chewie.
Oh, yeah, that could
Expectations
work.
are getting run away right now.
It's going to be
let's
Luke
rile it in.
and then young Ben Solo and Grogu. All
Well,
together
my
training.
expectations are not
Ghost
expectations.
Anakin.
It depends on if there's only 2 more episodes of Boba Fett and his story is done for us, or there's more. There's another season of Boba Fett. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, how do they end Boba Fett? What's the everybody wants Boba Fett back? That's great, but then you have to deal with him. He has to go. What cries about Luke? Oh, they killed off Luke. Well, he can't be around forever. So
Yeah.
Where's Boba Fett?
What's the
Yeah,
end game,
what's his end game for Fett? Is it in 2
I
episodes?
think him leading
or is it-
Mandalore, because we're going to see the Mandalore story play out in the next Mandalorian season. Obviously, he's going to go try to get redeemed. He's going to be in the caves of Mandalore trying to redeem himself so he can put the helmet back on and join his crazy religious cult. But then he's going to explore Mandalore. We're going to talk about the saber. Bo-Katan's going to be involved. We're going to see who's leading. And that's probably has to lead to another season of Boba Fett where I would hope that he takes over Mandalore, because Din doesn't want the saber,
No.
and he can't give it away.
He barely wants to be a
So-
bounty hunter anymore. He's kind of just doing it, Like he
Yeah.
wants to.
And his new ship can't even haul bounties.
No.
all it
no,
is-
No.
He just got a jar full of heads behind him, and that's all he can haul
just got room for Grogu, and that's all he needs. Really, is it? Grogu
on a mountain of heads.
I
Like, that's
posit
it.
that he does eventually get a Razor Crest, but it'll be like a mothership that the N1 can dock
Yeah.
in it, like the Phantom. It'll be the Ghost and
Exactly.
Phantom sort of situation where when he needs to be speedy and agile, he can hop in the N1 and go off. And when he needs to transport a bunch of carbonite blocks, he has the another Razor Crest of sorts.
Do
That
we
way you
think
get the
that's,
best of both worlds.
Do we think that's Anakin's N1 fighter from the book?
There
he
had to be
park it out?
thousands of those.
Did he park it at his aunt and uncle's? Or at
It
his,
would it would make
mom and
sense to
dad's
last this long, because if that's the one that sticks around, or if that's the one that's got notoriety because it saved Naboo, which destroyed that planet, or destroyed the droid control ship and everything, that's how it could get saved throughout the years, like a certain Corvette might, or something like that.
Mhm.
But there's been something pointed out that the hieroglyphs, the glyphs that are under the canopy that we see aren't the same that we see in Ep 1. However,
You're right.
it's a different side of the ship. And so there is still a
Probably
glimmer
still like
of
a VIN
hope.
or a call number.
Well, there's a thought that, like in real world, that they put the pilot's name there, under the canopy, so that that's whatever the pilot's name is, kind of thing.
The Goose.
And, yeah, Goose, right? Yeah, Maverick is what I was trying to think of. So it's different. So that means it's a different ship. But I've posited a theory out there. But what if the Naboo Royal Navy assigned 2 pilots to a ship? And so we see the driver's side when Anakin gets in Ep 1, and we see we see Maverick on that side. And on this side, we see the passenger side in this episode. So we see Goose's name on it. You know what I mean? That there's still a chance, because it could have two.
Well-
It doesn't have to be the same on both sides. It could be one pilot, the odd day pilot and the even day pilot, or however you want to do it. I don't know. There's still a chance.
I just don't think it needs that much of a callback. It's a great enough callback to even be a N1 Naboo starfighter that it doesn't need to be Anakin's. I mean, N1, like, that's
A little too
stretching
much.
to have. Yeah, you got. I mean, it being even an N1 is like, that's fantastic enough. That's all the callback we need. It doesn't have to be Anakin's to be cool.
You know what? I
She
didn't
does
talk
say. Sorry, Ricky, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, I was just go ahead. If you're going to talk about ships, go ahead, because I'm going to go off on something else.
Well, she does say that like she's enticing him with it, and Pelly says, it's a classic. It's hand built. Do you know how hard it is to get parts for? Like she's selling them, like I got all the parts for it. But to me, to hear you say, "Oh, it's a classic," do you know how hard it is to get parts for it? Well, then I don't want that. It's going to be incredibly hard to fix whenever I do need to have it. But she does say one thing, because like she pulls the tarp off. And she's like, look at it, isn't it a beauty? And he's like, that's a piece of junk. And she's like, well, you don't like it? You want your credits back? And he's like, yes, I do. And she's like, all right, well, get him his credits back. But, she's talking about it, how it's, oh, come on, you're going to love it. She says one thing that changes his mind, that it's pre-Empire, so it's off the grid. Yeah. Now, all of a sudden, he's like, oh. Wait, okay.
Just like the Razor Crest.
Yeah. He's all of a sudden now you've got my interest, or you've piqued my ears a little bit. That I thought that was an interesting way to sort of get him on board. But it was pre-Empire, and is going to be off the grid. But yeah, to hear it be classic handmade, how hard it is to come by parts. Did
she say something about like the Queen of Naboo like sanctioned them and stuff like that, or created them?
But it's just like christening a boat, she christened it, so she pretty much allowed these starfighters. Well, whoever the queen. I mean, it could also been the queen elect after Naboo went to the.
Yeah, I think she says they were built.
Those ships were around before Naboo.
Or they were royal Navy, royal starships, or built for. No, she says Naboo.
Speaking of callbacks, I was going to talk about the BD-1 droid from Fallen Order, which I was wondering if that was the same robot from that game, which I hope it is, because I like him.
Word on the street is that yes, it is.
What happens I haven't played it. What happens to the droid at the end?
Nothing. He's still around. That's why everyone's waiting.
That's part of my problem. That's part of my problem with some of Star Wars lore, and it's my same thing with Rey. Not everything has to be exactly tied into everybody else. Rey didn't need to have the blood of whatever. Palpatine, the blood of Skywalker, the blood of Ben, the blood of Ben. She didn't need all this stuff to be somebody. I ended up that she did, I guess. But in all of Star Wars, not everything has this N1 starfighter does not have to be Anakin's. The fact that it's a starfighter is good enough. And this robot doesn't have to belong to I don't know that guy's name. I haven't played the game. But the fact that it exists.
R4 from A New Hope. So.
Oh yeah. They keep bringing him back. So but yeah, but they straight up they made that noticeable.
And those are the droids from the.
Does that droid dance? Like there was one scene that kind of was like he was all excited dancing on 2 feet like a happy puppy or something. Or does he do that in the game?
That.
Yeah, he does it in the game. Like
okay, he does it in the game, then I'll allow it.
And that droid has healing capabilities. He can shoot you a stem. And
how about another thing? The Mando asked the droid, "Hey, where does this part go?" And the droid flashes up like a 3D scans. Hologram thing or whatever. Does he do that in the game?
Yeah, he's like kind of your explorer droid. He scans like the fauna and stuff and shows you this is this planet or this is.
I kind of thought when I saw that scene and he like 3D image projects it and then twists it in space and throws it on top of the starfighter or whatever to show him the orientation of it. I was like, I bet that's once I found out he was a video game droid or whatever, I was like, well, that's
and then in the game you modify him so he can unlock things with that scanner. So that's why I'm wondering if it's the same droid, because that's what made it unique was you can scan a chest and unlock it.
There was one. It only works if you're somebody that you got to have kids. There's one scene the Mando's fixing something and the droid's like shining his light and Mando's up here, and he's not paying attention. And he's like, no, I concentrate here. And if you've ever had your kids try to hold a flashlight for you while you're working on something, that's exactly how it goes down. You're just like, all right, look, here's where I'm working. They're distracted or the flashlight falls down. It's like, no, concentrate, shine the light right here. I did enjoy that.
That's where you're wrong, because you can remember what it was to be the kid that didn't know where the hell to shine that light.
See, I was good at it. I was
telling you to shine it. Okay, just.
I was a good helper for Dad.
Where I'm pointing.
Yeah,
pointing it at the thing.
Look where I'm pointing. Yes, I remember that. My grandpa used to do that to us.
So what has the armorer made for Grogu?
Viking.
Little chain link armor. It'll just be dragged at his feet.
I figured chainmail. Yes, a chainmail shirt of sorts.
I thought it was going to be his insignia on the shoulder pad thing.
Yeah, but he says
I thought it was going to be a little dagger, is what I was thinking, but I suppose they don't.
no. It
Like
needs
a
to
Bible
be. It
blade?
needs to be. It
Well,
can't be
that
a
would be a
weapon.
weapon. Can't do that.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
you're right. You just said that. Yes, it can't
Because
be.
he pointedly says, "Well, then fashion it into armor."
Yeah.
And she's like, "All right, what do you know?" And then they cut away to her making it or into something.
Could it be a Mando helmet with ears?
No, it's too
No, it's not.
flimsy or whatever.
It's not.
That'd work.
It was shaped like that, like when you had it wrapped up.
I don't know. You saw the wrap. You saw the ears and stuff, just like
Yeah.
his face, wasn't it? Like, oh,
No, that was her pulling.
I was like, that's beautiful.
But she doesn't use the whole. She doesn't use the whole. Like there's spare Beskar to be making stuff, right?
Yeah,
She
the
doesn't
thing
use
was
the whole
used.
spear, does she?
I think so.
I don't
A whole
think she
solid
does.
spear made to links. Yeah.
He's making all this armor for 2 people. But then she said they have foundlings, you know. So where are these foundlings at? He's like, make stuff for the foundlings. He's like, oh, good, you know.
No, he
Training.
says make he says make something for a foundling. She thinks, oh, okay, whatever, and then she's like, no, a specific foundling, Grogu.
Yeah, that's-
She's like, oh, you're done with him. He's like, no, I'm not. Make something for him, because
That's what I'm saying. Like,
he
is there other
challenges
foundlings?
the dogmatic. That's interesting. He challenges the dogmatic nature of the Jedi because she says attachment's not allowed in the Jedi realm or whatever, and he says, well, that goes against our thing of solidarity loyalty or whatever. And she kind of is like, oh, okay, well, let's make this happen. So she is allowing for a breaking of a dogmatic line of thinking, just not hers, theirs.
Yeah.
You know, she is letting him go do this against the Jedi dogmatic nature of attachments forbidden. So maybe there's is there an icebreaker? She's so you're telling me there's a chance, is she gonna see that the dogmatic nature of their helmet non-removal, whoever wields the sword thing is probably might not be a best practice.
How did she escape the end of season 1? That's what I want to know.
With the
She just left.
Well, we don't know it's her furnace.
No, she
but
just
with
kept
the
making
furnace-
armor. She was just standing there. She kept doing it, and then they were coming. Like, I don't know.
Well, she's
We're gonna have a
pretty
whole
BA
episode of
she's
her
pretty BA
escape.
with those
Yeah, that's
forging
true.
tools as weapons. That was kind of fun. She was
Which apparently
parrying
were Beskar.
and teaching him to
Yeah,
fight.
those
or
are made of
whatever.
Beskar.
Yeah, she was teaching him to fight, and she's bonking him on the head, and
I thought I was gonna dent his helmet, put a dent
Yeah.
in it. She
put a
slapped
Fett. Yeah, that'd be funny. Put a Fett.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna do that. I'm like, don't do that.
So as we're going over time here now, I just think one last thought. Has anybody got any last thoughts on dating a Jawa? To
Oh my god.
I never realized they were fuzzy underneath.
all the important stuff that's in here, and you got to go to dating Jawas.
But, I mean, they made such a thing out of it, didn't she? And
Well,
that's
it's Amy
like-
Sedaris. She's trying to be a comedian, you know.
Furry.
Speaks their language.
I did like, I don't like her doing it, but I did like how well she did it. It's easy for them to do it because it's just a sound board hitting or whatever, because we don't see anything move. But to see her, it was
And
pretty
this is
good.
her second appearance on the show because she was in the background in one of the
Yeah.
flashbacks.
Yeah, she was in one of the flashbacks. Her and the pit droids.
Yeah,
Her and Mo Curly and Low. So yeah, she says she's a homegirl. She's never been off planet. So but yeah, the socializing. Although we do see the Jawa at the cantina, so they do socialize, or there is some aspect to socializing Jawas to be able to pick them up or hit on them or whatever you want to say.
I just thought it was
It's
funny
odd.
because
It was just odd.
he was, being friendly with the Jawas, and when after he had a fight with them season 1, with the
Oh, you're right. He pays them because she gets all mad. They bring back the
Yeah.
hypervisor, whatever it is they bring
Gives him
back,
a
and he's
tip
like,
or something.
sweet. Yeah, he throws some credits her way, and she's like, what are you doing? You're going to spoil them. But you're right. He totally.
Yeah, he wiped out their thing. Well, then he did the egg thing for them too, though. So I guess he's square with them.
They're treating her right. Well, they could get parts. He was all excited. He's like, wait, you just tell them what parts you need, and they bring it back?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. So he asked
They're
for
like
the
Amazon.
the whatever, and they brought one. So yeah, he's probably cool with.
Amazon
That's how
Prime.
he gets
So
the parts.
Jawa Prime.
Jawa Prime.
What
And he's gonna, yeah.
When her
He can
delivery-
future Mandalorian episodes, if he ever needs anything, he can return to Tatooine, work with Peli and the Jawas, and get what here's the parts I need, and can make it happen. So maybe they set something up there.
But I think we're gonna have a big reveal either this episode or the finale, or the next one of the finale, to see who's actually in charge. Because I don't think it's the Pikes. So we might get that Crimson Dawn cameo with Kira.
I don't know. I'm keeping my expectations low. While there's some points to it,
I think
like,
the Emperor's gonna show up and shoot
Pike.
everybody with lightning.
Yeah, when I first saw that symbol that gang was graffitiing on the side of that house, and looked much like Owens and Bar Owens and that kind of stuff, house and stuff. I thought, flipping out, it's the I've forgotten the name, Crimson Dawn. That's the first.
They had the circle.
That's not even close to the same.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's not the same, but it's the first thing I thought when I saw it. I thought, oh, it's Crimson Dawn. I thought,
why were they marking the wall for, anyways? Like, what was the point of that?
Why not?
Graffiti.
Yeah,
I think
it's all over their bikes too.
Oh yeah, on the wall. I thought you were talking about the sort of special markings on the wall that could only be seen,
and they
like
did mark
Predator
up
style in Mando's helmet.
The Tusken camp too. So
what I thought was interesting about the
'cause they're
Tusken camp versus the house they mark with two symbols, whereas the Tusken camp you only see one symbol. And I took that as a tell, reading way too much into it, that somebody was trying to emulate that, make us think that gang did it by putting that symbol on it, but it wasn't them, because they usually tag it with twice. They
painted it wrong.
Unless they
were meant to believe it was them, but these markings say otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. That type of thing. Yeah,
I'm expecting that a little bit of a twist or two here. I don't know if we expect something major, but it's going to be a twist. There always is, isn't there?
I'll keep expectations low. I don't like guessing like that. I just expected
Vader's going to show up, and they're going to.
I'll tell you, I watched that last episode of Mandalorian, totally not realizing that I knew it was the last episode, but I wasn't thinking anything of a season-ending finale kind of fun or whatever. I was just like, oh, all right, last episode, sat down and watch it, and to have Luke come out was just astounding. It was ramped up a level because I didn't have an expectation of some sort of great season-ending bit of fun. I was just watching the last episode, thinking, all right, well, this is the last episode until I get more or whatever. So that amped it up even. It made it that much more impactful, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I kind of want to do that same sort of thing with the Book of Boba Fett, to not expect a Han and Chewie sort of reveal or anything like that. Just watch the last episode.
Have reveals. You can't have that at the end of every season.
As much as people complain about this one, like about not having Boba in it, you have to set up Din being alone and not with Grogu, because that's what the next season's going to be. So if you're going to have him in this episode doing a whole thing all by himself, and then he's going to be in the last couple episodes of Boba Fett, or the next two episodes, it's going to set him up being not alone, because then what is the Mandalorian show without Baby Yoda? It's going to work. But
so if he comes back next week as muscle to help, then season 3 of the Mandalorian's a bit of a time jump. That it's going to show the in between of when he has to leave and come back. That would be fun. You know where that season ends in terms of he comes back to help Fett without Grogu, or whatever's going to happen next week or in the next 2 episodes. And season 3 would tell that time in between. It'd have to be a short amount of time.
They like to do flashbacks on that show too. So.
Yeah.
And a back
cool. Do we got Mando fans? Is it cool that we saw finally? Is that the first representation of a vibroblade or whatever? Like a Mando tool.
Didn't they show it already before?
Yeah, it was in the first season when he fought the Mudhorn.
Oh,
that's what he used to kill the Mudhorn, was a vibroblade. Right. The 2-inch vibroblade killed the Mudhorn.
Which is also a callback from a video game. So.
Well, those two took their jetpacks off to fight. That was why. Was that because they were on a catwalk, and to
they're on that
add a danger element to the, if you get, because we saw previously, I think she was fighting him. They were sparring or whatever, and she knocks him off. We were like, holy crap, he fell up. But obviously he jetpacked back up and saved himself. Did they take their jetpacks off because that's a thing you do in duels? Or did they take their jetpacks off because they were on a catwalk over open space, and that if you got knocked off, you were going to be done?
You Yeah, you can't escape just
Can't
by flying
escape.
away.
And you can't save yourself if I knock you off. So the reason I ask if it's that, because that's wicked dangerous, because those two are fighting for the Darksaber. They could conceivably knock each other off the catwalk, and now it's down to one, and she doesn't even have the Darksaber because it fell off with those two idiots fighting. It has its.
Well,
they gotta figure out this way of ruling Mandalore. It's gotta have a better way to do it.
Well, look at the Sith. The Sith only ruled by two.
Those maniacs. Yeah, how well did that work for them?
No, they didn't. Emperor never did.
Yeah, until we finally figured it out. Yeah, it can be only just stay in the shadows.
All right,
Yeah.
Steven, I think we're at time.
Looking forward to more.
Okay, right. Thank you, everyone. Let's go. Yeah. Okay.
That's our out.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't say
Senate.
just a reminder for everybody, if you want to meet us on social media, we're on Twitter at PSW Senate, Instagram PSW Senate Podcasts, Facebook we're at PSW Senate, and we have the Positively Star Wars Facebook group to join, and to email us it's positively-starwarsenate@gmail.com. So
Aren't we on TikTok too?
oh yeah, we are on TikTok. We're at PSW Senate on TikTok. So
Hey, how cool was it to see actual old school X-wings? Love X-wings.
Oh yes.
For all the. It's been very cool to see the younger fans that grew up with the prequel trilogy geek out over seeing a Naboo starfighter and kind of enjoying that, like I enjoy seeing an X-wing, and to see those two X-wings at the end of the episode, and punch it, and to hear online chatter that the one X-wing pilot that's not Dave Filoni was the Luke Skywalker stand-in double. That was
Max,
kind of
right?
nice.
Was that his name?
Yeah, that was brilliant.
That's
so
awesome.
good. I didn't even notice.
Love giving him some FaceTime. That is awesome. Very cool.
And on that note, we have to go, folks.
Looking forward to more.
So
everybody stay safe.
Well, we'll be back short. We'll be back next, talking about the final two episodes of I was going to say Mando then. God, or Boba Fett. Which is probably going to have Mando in it. More like it. Okay, folks. Thanks, everybody. See you again.
Cheers.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Go switch off. I am the Senate.
The Force will be with you.